Hello everybody, it's Thomas. It's time to talk some Blood Bowl, League of Blood Bowl, of course, and we're going to be starting off with recapping what happened last week. Normally I do some team management about now, but there's not a lot for me to do this week. I had a level up on my Pogor, basic rolls, just took sidestep. Reason for this is sidestep plus dodge means that I'm going to be more likely to get out of there, especially with leap as well. I'll have a much better chance of, even if I get blocked by people, that I can just run them out and be free and woo, Pogor. So since he's my go-to scoring machine, it seemed like the wise thing to do. Not a lot of points up otherwise. My trolls, so starved for punching. They need more. Fnatic 2, not getting enough time because he's getting injured. Not that surprising. And just, MVP is going to random goblins instead of big players. Kind of a factor. Let's take a look at what happened last week. In case you didn't watch the video, there'll be a link somewhere over here if you want to rewatch it or whatever. But as you can see, I won 2-0 versus the Goblin Mirror match. I did way better than I thought I would. Partially, this was due to me exploiting some bad dice rolls on his part. The dice were very kind to me. We both got a bribe from Get the Ref, which is great for Goblin teams when no one has bribes otherwise, and then I got a blitz, so I was able to pretty much dominate the first half, and the second half went pretty well for me as well. I got a single casualty out of the deal. He got 3 casualties on me. My Goblins, they don't like keeping their armor on. They just like to throw it to the wind. Let's see here. I got a little more tackling than he did. I KO'd him a little bit more, but what can I do? Ran the ball more, obviously, and I passed a teeny bit more with some more handoffs, but that's just going to be what happens. He actually threw the ball to not a lot of great success because Goblins aren't good at passing. My fan factor came up big for me, as always. I got the +1 fame again, so I ended up with 80,000 for my win roll. Got to roll that 6, so I'm sitting on a ton of money. So what I could do now is I could easily buy my final Goblin and my Bombardier. Layla does not think that's a good idea, but she's wrong. It's a great idea. The reason I'm holding off is because I'm playing against the Skaven team next week. We'll get into that in just a little bit. Let's look at the other side of this, though. We can see what the Pants Commander walked away with here on his team. Winnings are not that bad. 40,000, though, is not the best. So what can you do? We've already looked at these stats. I think I played a little bit better overall, but he got a lot more unlucky than I did as well. He did get a level up on his troll. I think break tackle is not what I would get, but it's not a bad option either. Trolls already have, mighty blow. Stand firm is a pretty good option, I guess, but not the end of the world really. Break tackle provides some flexibility, lets him throw goblins a little easier too, so I think it's fine. Honestly, some MVPs. I think the MVP went to a random goblin here as well, but no long-term penalties or anything like that. 780,000 now. I think the Apothecary is the pickup he's going to want to get. We talked about this last week. He was just a little bit short of it, and this week, I think for sure it's what he's going to want to get. It'll just help things be a little smoother overall. I don't think it would have helped last week, as I don't think I didn't get really anything serious whatsoever. An Apothecary would still help. You want to definitely keep these more and more valuable pieces safe, and the Apothecary, best way to do that. So overall, not too bad for him. The advantage this Goblin team has, we've talked about this before, is that there's pretty much nothing he really needs to buy. An Apothecary will help, and then re-rolls. These are the only things he really needs to worry about, and then replacement players, which are all dirt cheap for the most part. So as long as he keeps his trolls alive, there shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. Let's take a look at some of their matches for the week. We have this huge blowout between Greyduck and the Chaos team. Let's go over right here. 4-0. What? Ridiculous. Just, the lack of rerolls was a huge factor in this game. There was some rain on the field. Weather continues to be a huge factor in all these games, but weather was definitely a problem involving rain because no one can pick up the ball in the Chaos team essentially, and it's a little bit harder for the Skaven team too, but you still have 4 agility pieces. It's not the end of the world. If we look at this, you can see so much yards running. Just did the job. Got the ball lost here. I mean, what can you do? Interesting point though is that while the Chaos team got 4 casualties racked up, The Skaven team managed to put in a lot of hurt still. 2 casualties is not too bad whatsoever. Got some tackles on the Chaos team. I don't know what that's about. Shouldn't be happening. But yeah, again, Chaos team surprised me in their ability to pass and catch. I don't quite get that, but hey, more SPP is good. Not a lot to say here. 4 touchdowns is ridiculous and huge, and just I don't even know what happened for sure. I think some bad positioning is probably part of it, and maybe some mechanical problems might be an issue too. But okay, let's take a look at this team. Got some permanent injuries here, at least on one of them. Fractured skull here. -1 AV on alignment is not great. Puts you in halfling territory, but it's still 3-3 with movement allowance 7. She can foul with this guy. There's lots of options still, but it's gonna be a mercenary next week anyway. If we look at the alignment, just a badly hurt, miss next game, so nothing in the world here. Get some level ups though. Another level up on this gutter runner. Looks like she just rolled a regular roll, so sidestep is definitely a great thing. Sidestep is gonna keep this gutter runner just up more, which is what this build looks like it's going to do. And just in general, sidestep allows the more reliable one-turn touchdown because you can push to where you want to be a little easier. Also got some touchdowns on these other 2 gutter runners, so that's good news. These will level up pretty easily next game, assuming all goes normal. And a Stormvermin level up. Looks like this is an MVP plus a couple injuries if I had to guess. Jump up, so this is a doubles roll. Jump up I think is great. Jump up will combo eventually with piling on, which is way down, but don't underestimate piling on plus jump up. And even then, Storm Vermin are going to be the ones that are going to be taking hits a lot of the time because they're going to end their turns a lot next to other people. I think jump up is fine. Dodge might have been okay, but I don't know. I think there's going to be so much tackle in this league that dodge will end up being a wasted point. It's still not going to hurt, but the Storm Vermin already is block. It's already pretty durable, so I think it's okay. Yeah, so more injury SPP around, it looks like, so these are all good things. Again, 2 mercenaries for this team next week, but it's unavoidable. It's a Skaven team. Got the Apothecary at least, so that'll help. And she rolled very poorly with 30k for a win. That's a good quality too there. Look at the Chaos team side of things. 70,000, which is almost kind of worth it as far as this team is concerned. Got a level up on the Chaos Warrior. That looks like an injury plus MVP to me. And you got 2 missed next games here. Fractured Skull on one of these. -1 armor value is painful, but 7 is still okay. And there's not a lot you can do, but I just gotta be careful with this particular Beastman. Chaos Warrior here. I think Tackle is the go-to skill here. Block would probably be a good one too, but 4 strength plus tackle will allow him to hit the majority of pieces he has to worry about. I think that would be my preference at this point. In terms of what to buy, hard to say. You still got this gaping hole where a Chaos Warrior should be, and he does have enough money to buy it, but I really think it's worthwhile to save up for another week and get the reroll. The reroll improves this team so much. Even having the inducement reroll is a huge deal. I just don't see any reason not to at this point. So this team's going to be a little hurt moving into next week, having 3 mercenary players at that point, but you got to suck it up and just wait for it. If you really get screwed and your MVP goes to a mercenary, you have enough money to buy one and hopefully be okay. Ideally, what will happen is that he will roll enough to, even if he has to buy a MVP allotted mercenary, he would still have and maybe roll a 70 again to get to the reroll time. Best case scenario, I guess, at this point. So level up the Chaos Warrior is good. It'll add more punching, which is always a good thing. And slowly but surely, these guys will develop. The season is going to be long enough where these guys will probably rack up at least level 2. Level 3 is not impossible as well. So not too bad, though. Let's take a look at the next match here. Ogre versus the Underworld team. Mark went pretty crazy in this game. 2-0. Only rolled 40,000, which is not like Mark's season last year. Or this is not like Mark's first season, but still pretty good. 2 touchdowns, 1 MVP, 4 casualties. Kind of beat up those little guys and just a little bit of tackling, a little bit of KOing. 4 casualties on that side as well, but Not too bad whatsoever. It looks like one of these was a fall down here. The game will be linked here. I don't remember enough about the details, remember who fell down who, but you can kind of tell. Casualties inflicted, casualties sustained. These are fall downs here. Looks like a go for it fall down as well. Chris did just not get a lot here. You got 3 casualties plus MVP, which is 11, which is not too bad. It's hard to compare that to the 8-16-21 SPP that Mark got out of this, though. So scoring still amazing. Low fan factor for this one as well. Interesting. Level ups definitely happened for Mark. He got 2, 1 on a Goblin and 1 on this Blitzer. Looks like an MVP around here, and this could be a couple injuries, I think, maybe an MVP. I'm not 100% sure. But rolled big. +1 strength on a Blitzer. Thumbs up, big time. Certainly adds a lot in team value, you know, an extra 30 basically, but 4 strength in this league with block is huge. So definitely a good pickup. Delays the, you know, claw, mighty blow, rampage that I'm sure you'd like to pick up on these guys, but not too bad whatsoever. Another Goblin got +1 agility. This puts this Goblin as the ball handler supreme, and with dodge and stun D means this Goblin's going to be all over the place. 2 heads is going to make this guy absolutely insane as well. Looks really good. Mark's getting really lucky on these stat rolls. Looks like he picked up another thrower as well. I think that's a good choice. You know, 40,000, so not too bad there. Combos well with the 50 from last week. So yeah, I think the thrower, good pickup there. I forgot that he could get another thrower, I think. But I think that's the end of his not terrible team value. But at this point, he can wait. 14 is a pretty good number. I don't even know what he wants to do, though. He could just save up to replace Goblins, which is probably the safest bet. Could get a 4-3 roll, but I think it's kind of unnecessary. 3 is probably enough for this team. Yeah, man. Mark's looking pretty scary. This is a good... if we saw last season, +1 strength can be a big deal for getting a moving piece up there. So definitely excited to see where Mark goes. I'm glad I don't have to pay him for a little while. So when that happens, we'll be terrified. But until then, should be a good time. Let's look at the Chris side of things. 30K. Chris also not enjoying the high. Actually, no. Chris, this is about the same as Chris rolled last season, I should say. Any changes here? Looks like you got another level up on a Snotling. No, no, must have been the Snotling. Got Sneaky Git. It looks like. I feel like that's a total waste. Just a colossal total waste of a point. You already have a Goblin to foul and you don't care about it. And just diving tackle, I think, would have been the better choice. Any number of things, basically, would be a better choice. But, you know, agility skills, there's not a lot to choose from there. Still, I think diving tackle would have been the way to go. Any other changes here? These Ogres are starting to get up there. You know, these are all within 1 MVP of getting level 2, or 1 injury in this guy's case. Ogres. Super scary. Not a lot to do here. Bottom's Apothecary, which is good, and he's sitting on 30. Could buy another Snotling, but I think he's better off saving up for another reroll and or another Ogre. Depends on what he wants to go for. 6 Ogres early on, probably not worth it, because you're never going to field all 6, or you shouldn't anyway. Another reroll, though, would definitely be a good thing, because these guys aren't going to get pro for a while. So, still, this team is eventually scary because it is the hittiest. As long as Chris doesn't mess things up too bad, it should be fine. Hideous sounds a lot like hideous. So there we go. This matchup was late coming in and late reporting. His last matchup of the week, actually, but it looks like it was a pretty good one. Didn't get recorded. Andrew said he had some problems recording for some reason, which is annoying, but what can I say? 60K again for Andrew is solid. 2-0 on this one. Oof. It just looks like total domination overall here. Catch and pass for each side. Looks like Andrew just put in a lot more hurt, though. 2 casualties, 2 KOs, tackles as well. Looks like this was not able to dodge it way too well. What can you do? Without watching, it's hard to see where the dodges failed. It's hard to get a good sense of what happened here, but oof. Even worse, another death for Sid's team. He's not getting very lucky on this. We'll explore that reason a little bit here, but what else? Putting in some hurt. This team is looking a little ridiculous. I got to level up on a War Dancer because of punching and touchdowns. hey, what can you do? Took block on this lineman, which I don't agree with, but it's okay. I think he could have done better options. With this level up, tackle is what I would recommend here. A war answer with tackle is going to be extremely awesome. If he wants to do funny things, he could get shadowing or dauntless, although I think dauntless is kind of a waste. It would be the funnier option. But tackle, for sure the way to go. 120 is a lot. He could get a tree, which he has talked a lot about. I don't think he should do that. I think he should get his apothecary and then save up for getting a thrower. Maybe another catcher. I think another catcher this early is kind of a waste, but a thrower would be pretty useful just to give you extra defense in the back. Never a bad option to have a thrower in the back. Layla agrees with that one, though, so hey, doing something right there. The apothecary definitely would have helped. I admire him for sacrificing the apothecary to deny Sid the inducement money, but the apothecary is going to be needed moving forward. Let's take a look at poor Sid's team. Amazon teams in this league do not do well for some reason. Walked away with 30K again, which is really going to hurt. I mean, 3 is respectable, but when you've had 2 players killed already, it's not a good thing. Oh yeah, Andrew mentioned that his MVP went to his mercenary, so some small comfort for Sid, I guess. But losing a blitzer here is a huge hole. He needs to win next week, basically, and have any chance of getting the 50 he would need to buy another blitzer, which at this point I think is priority number 1. Getting all 4 blitzers is a huge part of this team and what makes them good. So this is the problem. He bought a line woman instead of another apothecary. You know, it's going to help a little bit going into next week. He'll only have 3 mercenaries instead of 4, but I think the apothecary could have saved his blitzer and made him not dead, which long-term value is much more worthwhile. So I think there's some confusion about the apothecary and how it worked, but hard to say. This team is going to look at a team value of 950 going into next week, which is lower than he started, which is crazy. This team still has a lot going for it. It still's got all this dodge. It still has 3 blodge pieces, so he can definitely still pull this out. It's just he's got a much harder road ahead of him. Let's take a look at the next week. I'm going to be going up against Grey Duck. I don't think I'm going to win this game. This Goblin team is not very mobile. It's mobile-ish, but I don't have anything like diving tackle yet. I've only got 1 level up, and while I can hit pretty hard and I can chainsaw pretty hard, I basically have to hope that things go extremely well for me. Other thing that's holding me back, let's take a look at the teams here so we can see the team values. While Grey Duck is at 1040 for her team value, which doesn't seem right. That should be higher. Okay, yeah, so she'll have the 2 replacements, so she'll be at 1140 for her team value next week, or this week as it is. I'll be at 1060, means I'll have 1 bribe available. So that's why I'm not picking up anything extra on this team, is because I want to have the 1 bribe. Keeping the Looney around is going to be huge. Fnatic, debatable. We'll see who's still up, because right now I've had a lot of luck with these guys. Bombardier is going to be totally worthless in this game since there's just so many players that can catch the ball and heave it back at me. I don't want to deal with the bomb landing on my terrible catching goblins. We'll see. Pogo's got leap and can be a nuisance, but just has sidestep, not block or anything funny like that. I'm going to be really relying on these 4 damaging pieces and potentially the goblins, which actually have a 1-die block against the gutter runners, so we'll see. But catching the gutter runners is going to be hard. Basically, I have to hope I can brutalize the team and keep going from there. There will be a lot of boots flying is the most likely outcome. But I don't see me winning this game whatsoever. Just the amount of scoring power this team has is huge. The only pieces that are missing are linemen. This is a very insignificant thing. Jump up, block, sidestep. These are all powerful level ups, and all of these pieces are still ridiculously fast. Everyone except the Rat Ogre can catch my Pogo. Not looking forward to this game whatsoever. My primary goal is going to be to try to do some damage and maybe squeak in a touchdown or 2. Hopefully the Trolls get some levels, but I'm not expecting to win this game whatsoever. It might even be like a 2-0 because I can defend pretty well, but we'll see. It's not looking great. My Spite might require me to chainsaw this gutter runner to death, so hope she's excited for that. Wrong tab. Calendar here. Let's go to the next match up. We've got Ogre versus Chaos. Punch Punch versus Punch Punch. This does not look good for the Chaos team, though. They are still short a lot of players. I think with this level up here, well, tackle is still going to be the way to go because it'll help hit the Snotlings, and once you take out the Snotlings, the rest of the Ogres kind of will naturally fall apart thanks to Bonehead, so I think tackle is still what you want to do here. But he's going to be missing 3 players at 60k, so 790 plus the 20 from that is 810, so 990 will be this team value. And if we compare that to all Ogre now, it'll be 110. So once again, the Chaos team will be able to afford a extra team training reroll, which will help. And that'll be it because it's just a 120 difference. I think that's the way to go. It's potentially possible he may want to go for 2 babes instead, just in case KOs happen. But I think the safer bet is to go for the reroll. the reroll. If he had rerolls, sure, get babes, whatever. But he's short of a wizard. I think this is going to be the better way to go. I don't know how this will go. Chris's performance with Ogres last week did not inspire a lot of confidence. I'm actually expecting this to be an Ogre win, though, just because of how damaged the Chaos team is, and they still have no rerolls. Might be a tie, though, but I think Chris is going to win this overall. Next matchup here is Goblins versus Wood Elves. Oof. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Pet Commander doesn't have any pending level ups, I think, and so we won't look at his, but 1030 for his team value. Dance Dance Revolution will be adding another 20 here, depending on what the roll is, but let's assume 20, so he'll be at 1050. So when he buys the Apothecary, he'll be at 1100. So that puts the Goblin team at having 70 difference, so a bribe. Bribe, though, is all this team really needs. Having 1 bribe can be all the difference in the world. We'll see. The Bombardier, I think, is going to be a non-factor. Hopefully he doesn't try to bomb too hard, but the Looney can do a lot, Troll can do a lot, Fanatic can do a lot of damage too. So I think this is really going to come down to who gets the ball first. If Elves get the ball first, that's going to be a little harder for the Pants Commander team to do a lot of damage because they can just run the ball in and score quickly and then totally invalidate all the secret weapons, even with 1 bribe. The other side of that as well is that the War Dancers are very good at knocking down people with the ball. And these guys that will be carrying the ball all have 2 strength. I mean, yeah, they got dodge, but if he gets tackled, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Getting the ball and then chucking it out there should be really easy for the Elf team to do. Not to say that this game can't go Goblin's way. If the Goblin team gets the ball first and is able to just damage the War Dancers and cut up the catchers, then Andrew's team is just left with linemen. And Elf linemen are pretty good because they all have 4 agility, can move the ball, but at that point the Trolls can start doing more damage, can get more blocks. We'll see. Interested to see how this game goes. The Pants Commander is going to have to play pretty carefully. So we'll see. My hunch is that the Elf team is going to win this. Possible Goblin might as well. It's really going to depend down. I'm going to say Elf, though. Might be close, but I think the Elf team is going to win. And this one, Goblin team, or Underworld team versus the Amazon team. The Underworld team, I believe, is going to not have any new changes in stats. Yeah. Already at 1180, which is 3 mercenaries. Man. Ugh, not good. So 950 to the 1180, that puts him extra reroll town. Probably wants to get the Wandering Apothecary, though. I think that's the safer way to go. You're just short of a wizard, which would be pretty nice to have against the Underworld team. But I think the Wandering Apothecary is going to be the safer way to go. You don't have an Apothecary. You need to keep what few players you have left around. Get the Wandering Apothecary. Said, don't not do that. I think the Underworld team has a big advantage, though, just based on how injured this team is and the fact that he's going to be limited with 3 loners and only 1 catcher. Not that this team can throw very well, but still. Having a ball runner that can get handoffs easier is still important. We'll see. 3 blodge pieces is still pretty good. They might be the scoring engines as well. It'll kind of depend on dice rolls in play here at this point. These teams are relatively evenly matched, even though this team's got more sure hands and pickup. I think the extra benefits that Mark's team has in just having a deeper bench is going to be a factor, and the fact that he hits generally a little bit better. We'll see. Maybe Sale get lucky in all of his dodge rolls. If last week's an indication, Mark can't throw a defender down to save his life. So we'll see what happens. I still think that Mark should win this matchup. Just Amazon team is so damaged and Mark's team is so not damaged. That's how I see it. So a quick recap of that. I'm going to lose here. I think Skaven's going to win. I think Ogre team will win. I believe that Elf team will win. And I believe that the Underworld team will win. Feel a little thrown here because we had a week of shutouts last week and following a week of ties. So maybe it's tie week again and everyone's houses will have poxes on them. We'll see. Hoping my fan factor gets me some more money because it's done great for that so far. Let's take a look at the rankings because now we're starting to get to a place where they actually mean something. Top 4 right now: Skaven, Wood Elves, Underworld, and Mighty Goblin team. Not surprised to see these teams on here. I mean, they're the ones that lost last week. This will obviously start to stratify a little bit more, but you can still see some team value trends here. We'll see. It's still really early to call this. You know, just finishing week 2 of a 14-week season. We'll see. I'm hoping I can stay in this top 4 group so I can go to the playoffs, but I feel like Goblins don't do well with leveling up, whereas most of these other teams do. So we'll see what happens here. Hall of Fame, some interesting things here. Level ups, starting to really get some differentiation here. As MVPs start getting places and things like that, we're starting to see some level 2s crop up here. Unsurprisingly, to see Wood Elves in here and Skaven in here. Mark's doing a good job getting his SPP around though, so thumbs up there. Best scorer 4 on the Super Gutter Runner. Not too surprising there. Some 2s down here and some 1s down here. Nothing too surprising yet, but 4 on the Gutter Runner. Shock of shocks. See anything other too surprising here? Nope. Best thrower, Wood Elves, because Andrew loves to throw. Cool. No interceptions yet, but hey, the league is still young. Most violence, we're starting to get some people up on here. 3s for the troll that mauled so many of my people. Ogres doing that as well. Surprising to see how many Skaven players are on here. 2 is a lot, so that's exciting. Yeah, these will start to spread out more and more and more though. Best runner, once again, is one of my players. I just really like moving the ball around, I guess, or I'm really good at holding onto the ball with a single player. Whatever. Which one is this? I think this is my this is a regular goblin. That's interesting. Also not surprised to see the gutter runners here because they're not throwing, they're just running. Yeah, scoring teams around here. Super not surprised to see Skaven on the majority, or having the most players on this list right now. Best thrower in yardage. These are all so short, it doesn't really matter at this point. I mean, handoffs are still factored in here, so we'll ignore that. Survivors will be pointless as always, although this might become more interesting as we get on later in the league. Killers, got 3 kills so far. 2 of them have been against the Amazon team, which totally sucks, and 1 has been on the Chaos team. So the teams that got injured and brutalized the most last season still got killed the most. Stingray agrees with that assessment. And best receiver, handoffs. Yes, so these don't mean a whole lot. Next week should be pretty interesting. I'm excited to see where it goes. Getting some top tier teams up against each other already. Yeah, so should be pretty interesting. We'll see how many players are alive this week. I mean, I walked into this league saying it's not a very bashy league, but everyone's got a lot of penchant for violence considering how low a lot of the armor values are. So we'll see what happens. Should be exciting. My name's Thomas. I'll talk to you guys later.